Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to be talking about New Jerusalem and specifically the center place. There's a few different definitions for what New Jerusalem is. One definition says that it's all of North and South America. And there's others, but what we're talking about right now is the center place. So what you would traditionally think of as a city, right? So it's called the center place or the center stake. And there's been kind of an ongoing debate about whether it's been changed from Jackson County, Missouri to Salt Lake City. Now, I've had this question myself. I've decided to look into it and finally put together a comprehensive video right here, right now to cover that. During the course of the channel, with so many different things that I've researched, it just kind of keeps coming up over and over again that the center place still is in Independence, Missouri, Jackson County. But I've wondered about whether, in order to fulfill a prophecy about Christ coming to New Jerusalem before his appearance to the Jews and then to the rest of the world, if currently the center place is considered Salt Lake City, but the final center place would be in Jackson County, Missouri. So, occasionally you have some people that are like really passionate about it, and it doesn't seem like there's too many really, but and this is just, here's like a general principle. There occasionally you'll have people that will come on and be like, no, Salt Lake City is now the center place. That's where it is. It's been changed, da 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 da, and just say things as a matter of fact. And if you do something like that, then at least provide an authoritative reference so that the rest of us can learn along with you, learn something new, change our thinking. The problem is, a lot of times people that make those like factual statements, they don't provide the citation, and so it can be misleading. Not that this is like a big deal. It doesn't have anything to do with salvation. But as we're trying to, flesh out the picture in our heads of what the future is going to be like and how things are operating, it can kind of like mess that up. And it could potentially lead to like larger misconceptions down the road. So it's really important to, if you're going to say something, base it off of something, not just like what you think or how you feel about it. Tie it down to reality. And it's really annoying sometimes. It's one thing to be like, I think that Salt Lake City is now the center place. It makes sense to me. I can't really back it up, but that's what I think. I mean, that's fine. It's okay to think and have beliefs, but like to authoritatively say Salt Lake City is now the center place and it's going to remain there. And a lot of times, like whether it's talking about this issue of where the center place is or other doctrinal issues, like a lot of times people that make those authoritative statements, it's pretty clear that they haven't researched it. Just because I've already done that research. It's like they're just like, they have an idea and then to them that's fact, without proper research. So, but I myself, I've wondered whether it's changed or not. So this is what I found. First, we're going to go over a few scriptures that kind of lays the foundation, and then we'll move on to, in chronological order, statements that have been made by general authorities, and then something that's on the church website, and also a quotation from Russell M. Nelson himself. So, okay, this is from D&C section 28, verse 9. And now behold, I say unto you that it is not revealed, and no man knoweth where the city of Zion shall be built, but it shall be but it shall be given hereafter. Behold, I say unto you that it shall be on the borders by the Lamanites. Okay, so at this time, it had not yet been revealed. We know that the center place was revealed in 1831, just 1 year after the church was established. And when we're talking about the borders of the Lamanites, we're talking about the western border of Missouri. Because at that time, the federal government was looking into having all Native Americans come over this way, wet from the east to the west, right? And ultimately, that's kind of what they did with Oklahoma. It became essentially like a reservation, and you can see here you have all these different Native American tribes: the Chickasaw Nation, Seminole, Choctaw, Muskogee, Cherokee, Osage. I don't care if I'm messing those up. I'm not. Not that I don't respect those tribes, but I sometimes I just get annoyed with like the pronunciation. Like I'm not going to get everything right. But anyway, you can see here this western area. You know, this would be the border with the Lamanites, right here, and then right here, this is Independence, Missouri. This was um, the revealed location of the center place. Specifically, let's go to satellite so I can find it easier. Specifically, right here, the first temple of the 24 temple complex was going to be built here. This is owned by another church. It's an offshoot from the early church. They're called the Church of Christ, but to not be confused with other churches, they have the appendage Temple Lot. So, Church of Christ, Temple Lot. And by the way, this is kind of going to be the first in maybe a 3-part series I'm going to do, because ultimately I was preparing for a much different video where I wanted to take another look at the geography of the United States, Utah, Israel, because of the last video I did with Ellie Michelle. And we were talking about Jerusalem being on the border of Benjamin and Judah. I made the connection, oh, that's interesting that New Jerusalem is on the border of Missouri and Kansas. And even though Missouri and Kansas are not tribes of Israel, it's an interesting parallel. But I'm going to save that for another video. I have more to say about that. And I actually, as I was researching, I found out what these 24 temples are, like their names, because I came across it. I was researching it. I came across there's names for the temples, and so I'll do that in the next video, and then I'll do the geography video after that. But anyway, okay, so this scripture is talking about the western border of Missouri, right? Which you can see that Independence is like, it's basically right on the border. And the Kansas City metro area straddles the border. So the metro area is divided into the Missouri side and the Kansas side. Usually when we're talking about Kansas City, we're talking about Kansas City, Missouri, but there is over here a Kansas City, Kansas. Overland Park, I think, is the larger Kansas side populated area right here. So, okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so now you know what that's talking about if you didn't know it before. Okay, now we're moving on to another scripture, D&C 101, 17 through 20. Zion shall not be moved out of her place, notwithstanding her children are scattered. Okay, so it seems like, and it sounds like what it's saying here is that the physical location is not going to move, but we know that the saints didn't stay there. They were scattered. They had to move. They were persecuted and eventually ended up in Utah. They that remain and are pure in heart shall return and come to their inheritances, they and their children with songs of everlasting joy to build up the waste places of Zion. One interesting thing about this, by the way, is I hear over and over again, I've never been to Independence, Missouri, except for to go to this theme park called Worlds of Fun. And it was a world of fun. I can't wait to go this year. But Independence is kind of like a crime-ridden area from what I gather from comments and things that I've heard about it. So it is kind of currently a waste place to this day. Okay, verse 19. In all these things that the prophets might be fulfilled. And behold, there is none other place appointed than that which I have appointed. Neither shall there be any other place appointed than that which I have appointed for the work of the gathering of my saints. So this scripture strongly suggests that it is an appointed place. It's not going to change. And it makes sense because, again, another thing that we know about this area is that Jackson County is the site of the Garden of Eden. Okay, Joseph Smith had that revealed to him. And then just north and east of Independence, you have, I think it's over here, Adam-on-Diamond. Come on, where is it? I'll just look it up. Adam-on-Diamond. Okay, I was close. There it is, Spring Hill. Jameson. I saw Jamesport, but I know I was thinking Jameson. So you can see that here's Kansas City down here. So it's just northeast. So that's where Adam and Eve dwelt after they were cast out of the Garden of Eden, which was down here. So it would make sense that this would be the location for the New Jerusalem, simply because of its proximity, or its shared space with the Garden of Eden, right? Okay, so there's that. Let's move on. This is from Orson Pratt. I probably should have categorized this a little bit differently, but I'm going to read it anyway. He says, I do not know that God, by his power, has gathered together his people from the various nations of the earth and established them here in these mountains for a little season, for a special purpose. And what is the purpose? To prepare you, while dwelling here in these mountains, territories, and regions, that you may receive the blessings ordained for you in a future time, which time is not far distant. I know that this people will return and possess the land that God has promised them, even in Missouri and in Kansas, and in the regions round about. I do know that God will build up in Jackson County, Missouri, a great and wonderful and beautiful city that shall be called the perfection of beauty, the New Jerusalem. It's from the Journal of Discourses. Okay. Now, skipping way forward to 1953, because that was said, I don't have the date there, but that was said sometime in the 1800s. This is George Q. Morris in General Conference. The church and kingdom of God is here. Its sun is in the heavens to be seen by all men who open their eyes to see its light. And here is its center place in the tops of the Rocky Mountains. Now, this is interesting because he's referring to Salt Lake City as the center place. And I feel like this gives some validation to what I was wondering about, if Salt Lake City could be considered the current center place, which it makes sense, because really center place is just it's another word or a synonym for headquarters, right? That's where the headquarters of the church is. So it would make sense to me that Christ could appear there as part of his second coming, and fulfill that prophecy. I could be wrong. I don't know. Okay, next one. This is from Joseph Fielding Smith, Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 2, page 370. The section is called Missouri Temple, Saints to Build Temple in Jackson County. The Latter-day Saints are building temples and believe that the time will come when they will be called to build the great temple, which shall grace the New Jerusalem, or City of Zion, the capital city of God on this continent. Now, we're going to be talking all about this in the next video because, like I said, I found out a lot of details that I did not know about these temples and about the city itself, the city plat. We've looked at the city plat before and discussed certain things, but it turns out that there's much more detail that I had no idea even existed about that. So that'll be the next video. Okay, the next quote, this is also Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 3 this time. Joseph Fielding Smith says, we accept the fact that the center place, where the city New Jerusalem is to be built, is in Jackson County, Missouri. It was never the intention to substitute Utah or any other place for Jackson County. But we do hold that Zion, when reference is made to the land, is as broad as America, both north and south. All of it is Zion. If Zion is limited in its scope to the country surrounding Jackson County, it is indeed too bad that Nephi did not know that fact. What a glorious thing it would have been had there been a few reorganites, quote unquote, in this day to inform him of it. Then he and his people would not have fallen into the error of building temples like unto Solomon's temple at Jerusalem, away off down in Central or South America, but they could have placed one in Jackson County or the regions roundabout. It was really an unfortunate occurrence. So he's basically essentially arguing against the at that time. I think what he's referring to is the RLDS. That's what they used to be called, the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which now they're called the Community of Christ, and they're the ones that have this spiral temple. Everyone knows the spiral temple that they have there. And in their theology, this temple is that temple that was supposed to be built, right? Even though it's not across the street where the original cornerstones were laid. My understanding from what I've researched is they believe that this fulfilled that prophecy. Okay, let's move on. So here, before we do, here, Joseph Fielding Smith, and this is in the 1950s. He's saying explicitly that the intention was never to substitute Independence, Missouri for Salt Lake City. Okay, so that's pretty clear. Next one, let's see. This is Alvin R Dyer. He's the one that he was made an apostle, but for a little while he was not in the quorum of the 12 or the first presidency. And then he joined the first presidency. And then after that, he went back to being like a standalone apostle. And then after that, he became a 70. It's nothing like that has ever happened. And in addition, he had like a special mission over the consecrated lands of Missouri. It's like he was like a special. He had a very special and specific mission, and it had to do with the lands in Missouri. So he gave this talk in General Conference, October 1968, called The Destiny of America. In the course of time from the creation in the days of Peleg, or about the year 2200 BC, just prior to the confusion of the languages, the single continent of land that had continued from creation was divided to produce the hemispheres as we now know them. But notwithstanding this, the geographic location of the Garden of Eden was made known to the prophet Joseph Smith by revelation as here in the land of America, in Jackson County, Missouri, with Independence as the center place. Okay? So 1968, they're still talking about Independence being the center place. Oh no. I didn't put the reference for... Oh, freaking A. Okay, whatever. I think this is Bruce R. McConkey. In this last dispensation, the Lord has taught the importance of complete dedication to his service and strict obedience to his commandments as emphatically as he did during his earthly ministry. For example, in 1831, the first year after the church was organized, the church revealed through the prophet Joseph Smith, who was visiting the saints then assembled in Jackson County, Missouri, that they were in, quote, the land of promise, the place for the city of Zion, end quote. That's from D&C 57-2. This good news heightened the enthusiasm of the saints, who were already eagerly anticipating the blessings of Zion as it would be in its glory. At this juncture, to calm them down a little and impress upon them the fact that the establishment of Zion would depend on their obedience to his law, the Lord said to him, quote, hearken, O ye elders of my church, and give ear to my word, and learn of me what I will concerning you, and also concerning this land unto which I have sent you. For verily I say unto you, blessed is he that keepeth my commandments, whether in life or in death, and he that is faithful in tribulation, the reward of the same is greater in the kingdom of heaven. For after much tribulation come the blessings. Remember this, which I tell you before, that that ye may lay it to heart. End quote. The Lord was reminding the saints that there was some tribulation ahead before they could enjoy the promised blessings of Zion as it will be in its glory. He was warning them that in Jackson County, Missouri, which was Zion and will yet be Zion, where they were going, the law, that is his law, had to be kept. Okay, I know where this is from. This is from the same talk. This is from this talk, The Destiny of America by Alvin R Dyer. So I'll fix that after this video. I'll put the reference there. Okay, the next one, this is Bruce R McConkey out of the Millennial Messiah. This is in 1982. Quote, it is of this city, a city that should be built before the second coming, that the Lord said to Enoch, quote, I shall prepare an holy city, that my people may gird up their loins and be looking forth for the time of my coming. For there shall be my tabernacle, and it shall be called Zion, a new Jerusalem. End quote. It is in the city, the New Jerusalem in Jackson County, okay, the New Jerusalem in Jackson County, that the house of the Lord, unto which all nations shall come in the last days, shall be built. Which temple, the Lord said in September 1832, shall be reared in this generation. For verily this, oh my gosh, for verily this generation shall not pass away until an house shall be built unto the Lord, and a cloud shall rest upon it, which cloud shall be even the glory of the Lord, which shall fill the house. All right. Now we got this. This is also from Millennial Messiah. It is also clear that the gathered remnants of Joseph will build a holy city, a new Jerusalem in Jackson County, Missouri. Here also is Zion as a capital city, to which, again, as the Holy Word records, Israel shall gather. Once again, we ask, will they all dwell in this Zion itself? Again, the answer is clear. This will be a city whence the law goes forth. Gathered Israel shall dwell in various places. One place alone would never be able to contain them all. As we are aware, the building of the New Jerusalem lies in the future, at a time yet to be designated by Revelation. There is no present call for the saints to purchase land or to live in Jackson County, or in any place connected therewith. The revealed word relative to the gathering to independence and its environs will come through the prophet of God on earth. When it does come, the consequent return of the saints to that Zion, which shall not be moved out of its place, that call will not be for the saints in general to assemble there. The return to Jackson County will be by delegates, as it were. Those whose services are needed there will assemble as appointed. The rest of Israel will remain in her appointed places. The Lord's house is a house of order, and faithful saints do as they are told and go at the bidding of their prophet, for his voice is the voice of the Lord. And as with the New Jerusalem, so with the Jerusalem of old, those assigned will build up the city. It certainly will not be the abiding place of all converted Jews. So, and this is like a big clarification, because just the other day I was seeing on this one Second Coming page, people that were talking about the New Jerusalem dimensions according to the literal interpretation of the book of Revelation, that there's going to be this gigantic continent-sized cube that's going to be on top of the American continent, which is not an interpretation that I see supported by any general authority or any church literature, and it doesn't even make sense. Okay? Because if a giant cube comes and lands on America, like It's going to crush all structures, including all temples. I guess if you live there, you're not going to be seeing the sky. If you want to see the sky, you'll have to travel literally hundreds of miles to get out of the city, and then you can see the sky again. John the Revelator, like any Jew, was using numbers to communicate an idea, a spiritual concept. He wasn't saying that a literal cube was going to come and land on the American continent. Okay. And I'm saying that based on my research. There is nothing anywhere that supports that. You may say, well, it's in the scriptures. No, it's how you are literally interpreting that. But you cannot find anywhere anyone supporting that interpretation. That's the benefit of having prophets and apostles that receive revelation, that know what the plan is. And Bruce R McConkey is saying it right here. The entire church is not going to be gathered to Jackson County, Missouri, or within the 1,000-mile wide cube. That's not the plan. They say it over and over again that Brazil is the gathering place for the Brazilian saints, Japan for the Japanese, so on and so forth, right? So here, again, he's explicitly referring to Jackson County as being the center place. Everything's going to be done in order, and there's not going to be a general call up for you to go there. Okay, let's move on. This is also from Millennial Messiah. No, you know what? I better read it. Millennial Messiah, Bruce R McConkey. Though there may be many Jerusalems, each a Zion in its own right, because its inhabitants dwell in righteousness, yet there are two in particular that concern us because of the part they are destined to play in the second coming of the one who shall yet reign in the Jerusalem of his choice. These two are the Jerusalem now standing in Palestine and the new Jerusalem yet to be built in Jackson County, Missouri. Both will house a holy temple, and each will serve as a world capital during the millennium. Okay, now here's one from President Nelson. Now, at the time, at the time he was not yet an apostle, because this was in 1974, and he became an apostle in 1984, 10 years later. But look what he said during a devotional at BYU. He says, "Our duty is to raise up a generation of men and women worthy to receive the coming of the Lord. For he will come to Jackson County, Missouri, to be sustained as King of Kings, and he will come also to Israel to be hailed as Lord of Lords. Then his millennial reign will be ushered in. You young, strong, and faithful men and women will bear the burden of the kingdom of God upon the earth as these days of destiny come." And here's another generational statement, by the way. In fact, I don't know if I even added this to the list yet of generational statements, but I should. Okay, and then the most recent one, the one that's the most up to date, is on the church website. This is under Gospel Topics. Okay, so you go to Gospel Topics, look up Zion, and it says here, the word Zion can also refer to specific geographic locations as follows. The city of Enoch, number 1. Number 2, the ancient city of Jerusalem. And then number 3, the new Jerusalem, which will be built in Jackson County, Missouri. That's what's currently on the church website. This is current. Okay? They wouldn't put that if Salt Lake City is meant to be the new Jerusalem, the center place. So I hope that clears things up. When it's repeated over and over and over again by various speakers, and it's also on the church website itself, hopefully that's enough to inform you that the plan is still for the center place to be in Jackson County, and that place has not moved, although the headquarters of the church is currently in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, you can come to my tracker anytime. Um, this is online. It's saved to the cloud. The link for it is in the description below. And you can come here. You can't change anything, but you can look. And I think it allows you to copy. Maybe if someone could confirm for me, does it let you copy from here? Because maybe you might want to spread some of this information. Clear up some misconceptions among your friends. Copy some or all these quotes and show it to them, so that we don't have these erroneous ideas that Salt Lake is now the New Jerusalem, or everybody's going to be going to Jackson County. All faithful members are going to be there. It's simply not the case based on these quotes. And I can't find anything else that supports that. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. In the next video, we're going to be looking at the city plat of New Jerusalem, or the center place. We're going to be looking at a description of what it's supposed to look like, be like, as well as the temples and the names of the temples and all sorts of stuff. It's going to be really interesting. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share this, and I'll talk to you guys later.